Hello, Sharon. How are you?
Oh, hello, Wendy. How are you? I'm fabulous. It's great to be here on this wonderful evening. Something
And
new.
it is something new, and it's a very special day today that
It
we
is.
would like to um, pay tribute and honor two of, I know, my most impactful spiritual teachers, and I'm sure that they were with you as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It was,
Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer absolutely have been pivotal in where I am right now. They've been not only self-love and self-care teachers, they've also been spiritual as well.
yeah, yeah. And ironic that when Wayne passed, even though Wikipedia says he passed August 29, it was in the wee hours of August 30. And for he and Louise, he passed at first in 2015, and I'll never forget the day. And then Louise passed 2 years to the day in 2017. So, and they were like partners in crime. They were good friends. They
They
had,
were. They were.
um, you know, Louise had Hay House, and Wayne did a lot of his publishing on Hay House.
Yes.
And just absolutely magnificent people, like just
Totally.
good people.
Totally.
And
No,
both through their experiences, what they passed on, to see what their lives were like, and to see how the wisdom grew within them,
yeah.
is to know that it's possible for all of us.
Oh, absolutely. They overcome themselves. The work they shared came from their very difficult backgrounds and the tremendous transformations that they made themselves, because that's what it was. It actually started with themselves, and then they shared their work with the world.
Yeah. I saw
Through their
Wayne.
books and teachings.
I saw Wayne and Louise for the very first time at Metaphysical Mastery at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre in 1991, 1992. 90, no, yeah, it would be 91.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then I saw Wayne 2 weeks before he passed, and I had the absolute pleasure of standing across the table and having a conversation with he and Anita Mujani.
She's beautiful too.
Because they were right there. They were the ones who were looking after the sales of their own merchandise. It was such a beautiful, beautiful time. Yeah. And then I got to meet Louise, and I got to meet Louise in 2011. So
wow. That was lucky before she passed. So that was really lucky.
Yeah.
Because it was the thing is that's one thing they were. They were just down to earth people. They were just very much you could bring them into your home through the internet, which we're so lucky to have, or through books, whatever it works, and just they shared so much, and now even there's so much material available that it's just absolutely wonderful. It really is absolutely wonderful to be able to go out there. And it's funny, I talk to people these days. There for a while, it sort of disappeared. People didn't really know who they were, but I think more and more now, people are awakening that they're looking out, and Louise and Wayne, especially Louise, known as the founder of self-development, and especially a woman with all the experiences that she had endured, just have changed our world, so that it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, you can still find their work, which is incredible.
Yep. And their legacy lives on, so much so that there's still their works. There's some of their works that are now being published post their passing. I know that Louise's Embrace Your Power that's been released after she passed.
Right.
So there's pieces of their work that we're getting our hands on now.
Yes, they're certainly in our history books. They really, they have certainly helped align my path to where I am right now. And I could not, you know, there's obviously a lot of people that have had a big impact on me, but the teachings of both Louise and Wayne, so much so that that's why we're both here, your life teachers, is just an everyday, we take it into our everyday lives.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that both of them agreed on, I love this particular saying. They used to argue that you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are.
Yeah.
I love that. I just always love that. You know, whoever you, if you know, it's what you're putting out there, but it's if you're not walking the talk as well, that's what you're attracting. If you're attracting that you're not as confident in it or as happy as what you really pretend, like you might be pretending and having this big persona, that's what you're going to be attracting. And I just love, I don't know, I've just loved to share this journey and walk this journey, and from that obviously I met you as well, which was, you know, which is very special because here we are today.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing because it wouldn't be, you know, we wouldn't have crossed paths.
No, we wouldn't have.
But for this work. So
Yep.
It's quite incredible. And, you know, they really have, they've made the principles of self-discovery tangible for the masses. Like they've made them so that we can adopt them. We can, they're lifelong tools. They're lifelong guiding principles, really, aren't they?
I often say to the people I work with when I'm coaching them or when I'm in my workshops or retreats, I often will say, you know, Louise's work and Wayne's work as well, it is everyday life. It's no different to brushing your teeth. You know, while you're brushing your teeth, do your mirror work. It's as simple as that. Keep that, you know, they've created, as you say, those philosophies and those tools and those actions to be usable by anyone and everyone.
Yeah, they have. And their works are works of art. I know that there's, you know, I have my guided meditations on, and, you know, I listen to, this is without a word of a lie, going back to the old cassettes. Now, you know, people these days do not understand that, you know, when they have a little hiccup with can't hear the music because it drops out, they have never, ever, most of our kids don't even know what a cassette tape is. And when the machine tuned it,
right?
all the tape came out and you had to get the bloody pen and you had to wind it back. And it had to be a Bic, so it had all the little notches on it and you could put it in, you could wind it back. But yeah, like I've had that tape of Louise's, her evening meditation that I played every night for over 20 years, every night. And not just for me, but for both my kids used to listen to it, and my husband, when he was, because he was a shearer, so when he was there, he used to listen to it.
Yep.
And then during the day, you know, the audiobooks of Wayne's, and they were cassettes and they were CDs, you know, the Master of Your Destiny, like he just had some magnificent work. And still now I will put on an audiobook of his, and the soothing. I
love his voice. I just love to listen to his voice.
Yeah. And
his meditations, his affirmations, his I am. I love I am. I just love listening to that.
Well, that's the course that I did with him. So that we can actually share that with the world now. Like that's the same as sharing the Heal Your Life's work. You know, it's about us serving in, you know, serving others. And, you know, the way that I see it is I make a choice every day of what I feed in here.
Yep.
And I can feed it junk, or I can, and you know, some days you know, there's got to be a balance.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, while you're doing stuff, whether it's cleaning the house or in here working on tech or in the car driving somewhere, I'll pop something on and be able to actually consume good stuff and feel good, and you can feel the energetic change within you simply by doing that. And you know, it's work that resonates with the masses. You know, one of his famous quotes, without exception, begin every day of your life with gratitude. As you look in the mirror, say, thank you, God, for life, for my body, for my family and loved ones, for this day and for the opportunity to be of service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you know, that is so very true. It works hand in hand with our mirror work, you know, which is a Louise.
Well, they were so close. They worked so well together, didn't they?
Yeah, and Wayne actually
I'm sure they still are.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they still are.
Wayne actually features on the You Can Heal Your Life DVD. So when you watch the DVD, there's, you know, he's always, there's been so many that were included in that work that Louise put out in the movie. And I still think that the first 5 minutes of that should be played in every school. Like every child should see it, you know, that little voice that's chatting at the back of that woman, that, you know, how many people go to work with that playing in their ear every day, you know? And to be able to transform that simply by embracing this work is something so powerful. But, you know, I am so very grateful. I got a hug from Louise in Melbourne. I flew to Melbourne for the I Can Do It. And we were in the cohort that year of the workshops, and we got to meet Louise.
That's right. She used to video call in every time, didn't she?
Yeah, she was over here.
Oh, she was literally over here.
Yeah, right. So we did our training, and then we met her in Melbourne, and she was doing the I Can Do It, and we got time out with her, and and I've got a photo of actually having a hug with her.
Oh no, sorry, I meant when we were doing our Heal Your Life training.
Oh yeah, when we were doing
she would video call into those.
Yeah, yep. And then with Wayne, you know, I saw him for the very first time, and he signed the book for me. And you know, the very first time I saw him in '91, and then I saw him 2 weeks before he passed, and the same deal. It was like right there having a conversation. He was just an everyday man, and again I had a hug, and it was like that's what, you know, they're not up there, they're not those people that are on the pedestal that the ones you got to idolize, you know, they're gurus.
Absolutely.
They're just,
I don't think they even thought of themselves as gurus. Wayne used to quite often say that.
He was the funniest man. He had
his family stories used to crack me right up all the time.
If you ever get a chance, listen to The Secret of the Power of Intention, and listen to the jokes on that, where he talks about, because he had a bald head, and you know, some of the stuff that he says in there is just, it's hilarious, but he's just so relatable. And Louise the same, you know, she was a no holds barred kind of girl. Like, you know, she wasn't nasty, but she had a strength about her that was absolutely just oozed. And so my boy's going to start coughing.
Oh, that's okay. We've got Wendy's boy in the background, bless him.
Yes, and it's a week of transitioning, and it's just it's very sad, and it's
very interesting that he's transitioning
this week.
With all this beautiful energy around from Wayne and Louise. So I'm sure, Wendy, that they will certainly be looking out for him as well.
Yeah, so it's as much as it's a difficult thing, it really does, you know, when you can go back and I know that I really felt when both Wayne and Louise passed.
Totally.
But in all of that is a poem from the prophet that comes forward and says death is nothing at all, and it goes from there. So knowing that it's a transition, it's a passing over.
Yes.
And it's funny because Wayne, his daughters for the first few years would come and say, there was an image of his face in the ocean at Hawaii, and there was like as if he was an apparition of him was on the chair that he used to sit on. And he was an interesting man because he had the wealth, but he gave it all away.
He did in the end, he did.
He gave everything away to live a very simple life. He
basically went back to his roots, really.
He did. Because
that's where he came from. He came from as a person that didn't have anything anyway. So he was an amazing man. But two very amazing people, amazing woman and an amazing man. They just, I couldn't even imagine the amount of people's lives that they've impacted.
Well, Louise's book, what was it, about 5 or 6 years ago? It was 50 million copies or whatever it was that had sold. And it was published in so many different languages. And I mean, that's the same as Wayne's as well. But Louise, she laid her stamp on it. So it was kind of, it was ironic that it happened the way that it did, that it was like 2 years apart.
It's so bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. And I still, the strength of that woman and the way that she walked to talk was very much, I think, a powerful, very powerful statement, and even like the Embrace Your Power, this being the latest one, there's some great stuff in there, especially about, looking after your health and self-esteem and all the rest of it. It's really quite powerful. And I look at now and, building a financial secure, being financially secure, empowering women, raising empowered children, empowering, living an empowered life in a workplace, like all of that stuff is, and simply no judgment. In this book, it addresses cosmetic surgery and she speaks about the health and the benefits of exercise and some thoughts on smoking and menopause, natural and versus natural and normal, and knowing that it's, and this is probably one of the things that I got from her was it was a progression through. She did a session, and I'll never forget it. She did a session with Christine Northrup.
Yep.
And it was about, there was a mention in about menopause, and I've since gone and listened to The Secrets of Menopause with Christian, and I looked at, I used her way of looking at menopause and working through it when my time came. But it was that's a transition to your wise years. We have a look at the negative side of it, but have a look at the positive side of it. Is as a human, we go through stages, but Wayne always says you can't go back and that 2-year-old body is still within you, but you can't go back there.
No, that's right.
But you don't see it die, you see it transform. That's exactly the same as with us is we have the infant, and then we have the childhood, and then the adolescent, and then the adult, and then we transition into the wise years. And she did it so well. She was so gracious in everything. And when you have a think about it, like Wayne did a lot of his he served in a beautiful way.
Absolutely.
He did a lot of his on what they call the PBS in America, which is the public broadcasting service, where you could, if you lived over there, you could tap into that And we just hung out for his tours here. And the same with Louise. You know, it was once a year she used to come over for I Can Do It.
Yeah.
And it was like a ticket that you bought well in advance to make sure that you got a seat there. And 2011 I traveled to Melbourne for it. So yeah, it was quite interesting. And that's the same year that Wayne did the book writing for Hay House in Sydney.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So not only was he, like a legendary writer, he wrote so many books, the same as Louise, but he taught that stuff too, which was gave people.
He was a psychologist as well.
Yeah. Yep.
I always, as I said, I love to listen to both their voices. Many times, very often, I'm listening to them. I might even be walking around the house doing housework with my with either the radio, with the speaker on, or with my ear pods in, and I'm actually listening to either one of them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and there's nothing more
certainly
satisfying.
Gone but not forgotten, are they?
Absolutely, they're not, and they've they will continue to touch so many people's lives, which is incredible.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Well, we're using Louise's philosophies. That's what kicked off our podcast.
That's right. And the work really has great value, and that's why you chose to become an accredited coach, and I chose to become both of us are workshop leaders, coach, and teen empowerment.
That's
so
right.
That was a choice that we made, was
Absolutely.
to embrace that and to actually stay certified.
Yes,
to be able to deliver
right.
the work. Because it is, because of the value that it does hold for people, and making sure that we can do our bit with making having that continue to be out there and available for people to access, and that our podcast is just one little aspect that we hope to continue to bring the what our learnings based on our life experience, and implementing those very same strategies and protocols and tools and tricks and the philosophies from both of those ingenious people, being able to put it into action on our own stuff and be able to share exactly that. So I think I feel so very privileged. I do feel very privileged that it's been a journey through that book. Literally, You Can Heal Your Life literally fell at my feet in the library.
I know, right? How lucky.
In Longreach.
Talked about that before. It's absolutely incredible.
It would be different if there was if you're in a heavily populated area where there's a lot of traffic or whatever, you can understand buildings vibrating and stuff. But this was a big old stone building.
That's right.
In a town with a district population of 3,500. So it wasn't as though that there was a lot of traffic there that was causing vibrations. Right. So it was meant to fall out, and it ended up being a very, very much aligned to that way, because of the value that it brought into my life, the changes that it made, and because it was so bloody simple.
And incredibly, that's what she did. Louise actually started with this because she did have cancer, and she was considering all the different therapies that what she could have. But she herself created that intensive program of affirmations, visualizations. She did the nutritional cleansing and psychotherapy, and from that, within 6 months, she'd actually healed herself of cancer.
Yeah.
And from that, she took that and shared that with the world.
Exactly. And you have a look at the, even when she was first going on this journey, when she was doing all the AIDS work, working with the AIDS patients in those circles with men that that just felt no value. They had no value at all.
Her incredible work, didn't she? She did so much incredible work. And that's really interesting where she started before she, there was a long line of incredible work, very humbly delivering her work well before she ever became famous.
Yeah. And I mean, she didn't publish the book until she was 51 or 51. And this is someone who was a former model,
Yeah, that's right. She was.
Yeah. Yeah. She was married to an affluent businessman. And that's kind of when everything started to unravel for her, was around that time. Well, brought it to the surface. And that's what happens with all of us, is that there's something. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that happen in our lives, but there's just that one that brings it front and center, and says, what? Look at me. Let me look at you. And it really is a mirror in your face for you to say. You start on the path.
Yep.
So
and basically get that right into you as well. It puts it right out there in your face, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does. I know exactly what mine were. Like I had the book at my fingertips. I read it. I read it. I owned it. I went and bought it, because I really wanted to have it. But it wasn't until like 6 years later, sorry, that the value in those pages really came to the fore.
Oh, totally.
And I knew then what I was, I didn't have any hesitation in going back and finding it. And, not find, I mean, I didn't lose it. That sounds like I lost it, but I didn't. It was just, it was right in my face, but it became more in my face.
Yes.
So just outstanding work.
Look, I don't know, and me even as a medium, I use Louise's cards. I use them in my, and I've got a couple of books that I just absolutely love. I love her heart thoughts in her cards in her book. I have the both of them.
Yeah, and I've got the heart thoughts cards, and I'm the same.
I love them.
And Life Loves Me. They're another beautiful deck.
There's so many wonderful, and they're often very popular. When I have them and I use them, people just love them as well.
Yeah, yep. And they're just so simple. Again, it's just a card that you can pull, and it's like the words weave magic. It's like they are meant for you on that particular day, and they will, if it doesn't really resonate at that, immediately, when you sit with it and you journal and you think, oh, okay, so it really does, because we tend to gloss over and put masks on and not acknowledge stuff.
Totally, we all do that. I mean, whether we think we're doing it or not, we still do it.
And it's making sure that we're okay with taking those masks off and loving, and that's where it's a daily practice thing, and it's I know that I'm more comfortable when I took all my masks off and it became very evident of what I was doing, and that was that was 1996 when I peeled them all back and took ownership of everything that was underneath, and Wayne's quote that the highest that you can get is when you what's the saying? When you don't take on the good opinions of others. Like you just, in other words, you don't give a shit what people think.
Well, Louise says something similar, and it's what someone says about you is none of your business.
Yeah.
I just love it. I just love the simplicity of it. I just love the, how it just resonates so much with my heart, that their work.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just a brilliant day for us to be able to honour
absolutely.
the impact that they've had on our lives.
Absolutely, which is why we had to do this special podcast.
And the reason why we're here is because of that woman and this work.
Yes. And they really are role models. Even though they were famous, they very much were down-to-earth role models, showing you how they held their own light, very bright, even in their darkest of times, to get where they got, and both living very long, fulfilling lives. Not long enough. It would have been much nicer for us if they were still here, but they have created an incredible legacy, which they've left behind. And even Wayne's daughter now is, well, actually, I think a couple of his daughters are now starting to do his work.
Yeah. The one thing that really struck me and has forever, and I know that there's a lot of people who have wanted to emulate the work, but those two were so grounded and so peaceful, and so there was no fanfare, there was no
so humble
rah lights, flashing lights and loud music and stuff. It was just, here I am, here I am, and that's the beauty of it.
The way she could just, I don't know, her voice is so soothing, and so is his as well.
Yeah.
It just, just to appreciate your own self-worth. That is, she just so wants everybody to embrace their life like she did.
Yeah. And never stopped the questions. She if you have a look at a couple of, there's if you listen to Power Thoughts where she speaks in there.
Yes, I love that. That's one of my faves.
So much on there about how she, it's words we speak. Why would you use language like that on yourself? Why would you want to be your own worst enemy? Why would you want to punish yourself like that? There's the way that she used to put it into no bullshit. It was just, here it is. And this is what, ultimately, he is the way to be able to make those changes. So, yeah.
No, it's look, we've been gifted an incredible gift with those two. And look, I can't stress enough the amount of people they've brought behind them on this journey.
Yeah. Instrumental in so many people's, well, they've been so instrumental.
Yeah, famous or not famous.
Yeah.
It's incredible the amount of people that have taken this journey.
Yeah.
Which tells me that they have shared their stories easily and simply so that we could enjoy them as well.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, as Louise would say, and let me just, I've got it here.
We remember Wayne and Louise tonight in this very special edition of our self-love podcast.
And as Louise says, all is well. Everything is working out for the highest good for everyone concerned. Out of this experience, only good will come. We are safe.
Beautiful. We are
safe. And so it is.
We are safe. We are safe. And so it is. What a beautiful way to finish this podcast. Much love to you all out there. Thank you for following our journey. And we look forward to chatting with you next week.
Bless.
Bye for now.